Hey guys, Miss Fearing here. We're going to go ahead and look at review for polynomials today. First things first, if you do not have your FERPA turned in yet, please make sure that you get that signed and into me as soon as possible. And then here's the answers from the radicals assignments yesterday. Go ahead, pause the video, check your answers, and then reach out to me with any questions that you might have. So let's look at these operations on polynomials. Basically, the first thing you need to know is we need to be able to find the degree of a polynomial. The degree tells us lots of different things, and we're going to talk more about that as we get into further assignments. So in order to find the degree, what you need to know is basically it's just our highest exponent or highest power. So when I'm looking at these different things, this is a degree of 5, okay? The exponent's of 5, so it's a degree of 5. Let's look at example number 1. I have 7x to the 5th minus 3x to the 3rd plus 8. So if I'm looking at my exponents, I have 5, 3. So the highest one is going to be 5. So this is going to be a degree of 5 or a 5th degree. If I'm looking at number 2 here, I have z to the 7th plus the square root of 2. What we'll talk about later is the square root actually can be written as that number to the power of a half. So this is like saying 0 to the 7th plus 2 to the 1/2 power. So if I'm looking at my powers, the highest degree or the highest power is 7, so this is a 7th degree. I'm then going to ask you to do some operations with polynomials. So we've kind of looked at multiplying them already a little bit, but we are going to look at addition, subtraction, and then some multiplication again. So with addition, I go ahead and I just think of this as combining like terms. So combine your like terms. That is your first and only step when it is an addition problem. When it's a subtraction problem, you have one step first. You need to distribute and then combine like terms. So you're going to have to go ahead and make sure that you're focused on what that sign is and telling you to do before you go ahead and do that operation. The last thing is multiplication, which we have seen before. You multiply the coefficients. And then you add the exponents or the powers. Okay. Sometimes we've seen this as FOIL. We've seen this as double distributive property. We've seen this as our box method. Those are all different ways that you've been taught basically to multiply polynomials. So let's look at this first example. This first example is telling me to add these things together. So when I'm adding, I'm just going to combine my like terms. So I have negative 9x to the 3rd and 13x to the 3rd. I go ahead and I add those together, so negative 9 plus 13, I'm going to get 4x to the 3rd. Then I can go ahead and look at, I have 7x squared plus 2x squared. So I'm going to add those together, I'm going to get 9x squared. So you're going to notice my powers are not changing. When we are combining like terms, the powers don't change. I have a negative 5x and a negative 8x. So I have negative 5x plus negative 8x gives me negative 13x. And then I have 3 plus negative 6. So I get negative 3. Look at this example here. I have a subtraction sign. I'm actually subtracting. So what we're doing is we are going to distribute the subtraction sign through to everything in the second parenthesis only. The first one's going to stay the same. And then what's going to happen since I'm distributing that negative through is this is going to turn into an addition problem then. So I'm going to get negative 2x to the 3rd. Negative 1 times negative 6x squared is going to give me positive 6x squared. Negative 1 times negative 3x is going to give me positive 3x. Negative 1 times 9, negative 9. Now I can go ahead and combine my like terms again. So I have 7x to the 3rd plus a negative 2x to the 3rd. So I'm going to get 5x to the 3rd. I have a negative 8x squared plus a 6x squared. So I'm going to get negative 2x squared. 9x plus 3x, and then negative 6 plus negative 9, and that's my final answer. We are adding these things together again. So I have negative 17x to the third plus 16x to the third, get negative 1x to the third. I have 4x squared plus a negative 3x squared. So I'm going to get positive 1x squared, negative 11x plus 3x, and then negative 5 plus negative 15, negative 20. Next example here, I am looking at a subtraction again. So remember, we need to distribute that negative 1 through to everything in the second parenthesis. So the first one's going to stay the same. And since we're distributing that negative 1 through, I'm now going to have a plus sign. And all it's really going to do is change my signs of everything in the second parenthesis. So now I can combine like terms. I have 13x to the third plus 7x to the third, 20x to the third, negative 9x squared plus a negative 2x squared, negative 7x plus 5x, and then 1 plus a negative 9, negative 8. So that was all of our adding and subtracting. Now we're going to look at multiplying. So what you want to do is you want to take this first piece here and you're going to distribute that to both pieces in the second parenthesis. So that first piece, distribute to both. Remember, when you multiply, you're going to multiply the coefficients and you're going to add the exponents. There isn't an exponent, it's that imaginary 1. So x squared times 2x is going to give me 2x to the third. X squared times 3 is going to give me 3x squared. I'm going to do that same thing now with this 4x. I'm going to distribute it to both things in the parentheses. Second set of parentheses, sorry, excuse me. So I have 4x times 2x. I'm going to get 8x squared. 4x times 3 is going to give me 12x. And then I also want to do that one more time with the last piece in that first parenthesis, which is my 5. I'm going to distribute it to both things in that second parenthesis. So 5 times 2x, 10x. 5 times 3, 15. So at this point, all you're going to do is combine your like terms. So I'm going to put my x squareds together and my x's together. So I have 2x to the third, 3x squared plus 8x squared, 11x squared, 12x plus 10x is 22x plus 15. Last one here, we can do this even if it has different variables. We are just double distributing. So we're going to take this first one and we're going to distribute it to both things in the second set of the parentheses. So x to the 1, x to the 1, 7 times 3 is going to give me 21, x to the 2, because we add little powers. And then 7x times negative 1y. So I have negative 7xy. I'm going to do that same thing with that negative 6y. We're going to distribute it to both things. So negative 6y times 3x is negative 18xy. And then negative 6y times negative 1y is going to give me positive 6y squared. Go ahead and combine our like terms here. I'm going to get 21x squared minus 25xy plus 6y squared. So that's it for our notes today. If you have any questions, go ahead and reach out. Otherwise, you're going to head to Schoology and work on the review for polynomials, and then submit that when you are done.